So anyway,
So you're recording in the dining room. Why? Is there something wrong where you normally record, or is that where you normally record?
Well, it depends. Sometimes I record in the dining room. Sometimes I record in my office. But my office is just not. It's not a good spot right now. So
Yeah.
We're gonna go ahead and just do it in the dining room tonight, folks. You're gonna have to deal with echo. I apologize. Oh, I should also mention, welcome to the show, everybody. This is the
God,
the
we have been
podcast.
recording.
Yes,
Yeah.
the podcast that just won't quit. Yeah, we will never die.
Never say die.
Never.
Goonies never say die.
Those guys too. So yeah, we're doing this, and of course I'm Matt Peters, and as always, she's Lextoberfest, Lex Lutz.
Oktoberfest.
Yeah, why not?
It's not even October, brother. What are you thinking?
What's
going on?
It's always Oktoberfest season.
All right.
Yeah, that's what I've been told.
I mean, damn, I'm not drinking my beer. That's unfortunate.
Yeah, I'm drinking coffee, so I'm definitely going against the grain here for the Oktoberfest feel. Anyway, just go with it. It's
Ooh,
fine.
I'm going in the opposite direction of you. I'm in white wine mommy mode.
Ooh.
I'm doing a little Riesling right now.
Nice. Do like a good Riesling. Oh, yes.
I like two wines. I like Riesling and Moscato. That's what I've discovered.
Well.
End of list. So far.
I've just recently tried Moscato for the first time, thanks to good friends Archie and Jacqueline. You know, when you have friends and you don't see them very often, sometimes you exchange Christmas presents very late in the year.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And we call them, we call them, Black History Month presents. Why not? Because we dig that, and
that's cool.
We saw each other for the first time. Actually, it wasn't even Black History Month. It was just a couple weekends ago. Also hung out with some other good friends from out of town. But yeah, I mean, hey, C2E2, it gets crazy.
They better come to the show.
One would hope.
When I'm in town.
That's right. So, speaking of our show, folks, we got a show.
We're coming out live, y'all.
Lex is coming to Chicago. It's going to be nuts. It's going to be crazy style, y'all. It's 6:30 p.m. Wednesday, May the 8th. We're going to be opening the Chicago Nerd Comedy Festival. It's an institution at this point. This is the 7th year of the show, and they're putting us up first. We're setting the tone.
I did not know that, and I was not nervous, and now I'm like, oh no. All right, cool. I'm very excited. Okay.
Well, you could always just tank the show before then, so nobody comes to our live performance. You still got a couple episodes.
I'll go full Bill O'Reilly when he's like, fuck it, we'll do it live. We'll do it live. And just losing it on stage.
Yes.
Beginning and end of career. Yeah.
The end. That's it.
The end.
It's been fun.
Guys, this is how our podcast gets canceled.
I thought podcasts couldn't get canceled. Well, let me tell you, friend, you were wrong.
Oh, they can get canceled. Fucking watch. I will find a way. Life finds a way, motherfuckers.
That elusive call from Anna Faris that we've been expecting, it ain't happening. That's it. If the phone don't ring, it's her.
Oh my god.
That's the only country song I really know. If the phone don't ring,
is that a country song?
It is.
I thought you were just making a shitty quote.
It's the best name of a country song.
I don't want that on the shirt.
I love it. I love punny country songs. I love it when they're witty, and not just talking about, I'm having fun, I'm drinking and dancing and trucks and bats and guns and smoking. And,
when I saw earlier, when I was going through Instagram and I saw Basic Stitch for a knitter, for a knitting person on Instagram that I was following, and I sent that to you, I was like, this is the great, and you were just, no, hard pass.
No, I do love a good pun, but that one was like, wow, that was just, oof. Oof.
What the word you're looking for is perfection.
Sure, we'll go with that.
Sure, perfection.
So, we put out the call sign again a couple days ago, and we got a bite. We got another request from one of our listeners, and I'm ready. Are you ready to tackle this question?
I am, and I'm very excited because we decided. Okay, well, you go ahead with the question. And then we'll detail. Okay.
Well, I'm just paraphrasing, of course, because
you're good.
The question has been lost to time. It's been
It's lost in our Twitter feed.
It's been lost to time. So one of our great listeners and friend of the show, Teresa, asked us to list our 6 favorite TV shows that we love.
Yeah, it wasn't clear. So here's the thing.
Yep.
It wasn't totally clear if this was like all-time TV shows, if it's 6 favorite shows right now on the air or what.
Mm-hmm.
So we kind of decided to just do all-time.
Right. We made our own rules.
Like,
we set the rules so we could have a good conversation here.
Yes.
Well, we'll let you guys be the judges of that. So, all right.
So we didn't share our lists with each other because I thought that would be more fun.
That's right.
And now I can't wait to see if we overlap at all. I can almost guarantee we will overlap at least one. Just
one. I'm pretty sure because I set additional rules for myself, which I'll get into as I go down the list.
So one thing I didn't do, and I don't know if you did, I did not put mine in order.
No, neither did I.
Like, okay. I just was like, okay, 1 through 6, whatever. So there's no like top dog, this is the greatest show of all time.
Yeah.
It's MASH, everyone. I'm just kidding. It's not.
Oh, absolutely not.
What did that mean? That would just solidify the fact that I am a young woman, but actually an old man living in a young woman's body. If I'm like, my favorite show is MASH.
I mean, I was never, and I might have even mentioned this on the show before. Stop me if you've heard this one. I could never get into MASH because every time I heard that theme song growing up, I knew it was time to go to bed. And it was just like a Pavlovian response, just like, oh, well, MASH is on.
I feel like I would have been into MASH if it had been played when I was a kid, but the reruns weren't played when I was a kid.
Mm.
So I saw like Brady, I saw shows that were on, like very old shows. I mean, I watched Andy Griffith. I watched I Love Lucy. I watched like a lot of old shows when I was a kid, but I didn't watch MASH. So I'm guessing that in those years it just wasn't on. I mean, I don't know. Whatever. When I was a kid, it was like, is it on Nick at Night or is it on? Usually Nick at Night and then TV Land on occasion.
Mm.
So those are my go-tos. I don't,
Yeah. I mean, all-time TV shows. This was some of the hardest.
Tough.
Yeah, this was tough. This is some of the hardest stuff that I had to really parse out here. And I have so many runners-up too. And I'm sure you have them listed.
I have a couple of honorable mentions. So my thing too was, as I was making this list as well, I realized that I could probably make a top 6 movies list much easier.
Yeah, same.
I think this was a revelation for me of, I like television more than movies, which is something I've been going through for a while now.
Mm-hmm.
When I was a kid, when I was a teenager, I wanted to be a filmmaker. And, I applied to film schools and everything like that. And so that was it. I wanted to be, a Spielberg. I wanted that. And what's funny is the things that I connected to the most, even though I loved movies, at the end of the day, I always came back to television shows. I rewatched television shows more than I rewatch movies.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I rewatch certain movies, but something about the long-form storytelling is just, you can't beat it.
It's like comfort food,
It is, yeah. And there are shows that that you rewatch as well, but isn't on my list. Like for example, Friends is not on my list,
mm-hmm.
but I can always watch Friends because of what you're talking about. It's comfort food.
Fair.
It is a warm blanket of happiness, whatever the show may be.
Well, that's kind of how I am too, because Third Rock is on my runner-up list. Third Rock from the Sun. Because every time, if I was taking a sick day, I would just have a Third Rock marathon when it was on Netflix. So
yeah.
I totally feel you on that.
It's on Amazon now, by the way.
Oh, good. Okay, yeah.
Last time I checked it.
Next time I get sick, I know where to go.
That's funny because last time I was sick, that's what I watched.
Nice.
Yeah, no, that's weird.
Maybe I just put that thought in your head or something.
Should we be friends?
Ooh.
Let's think about that. So one of my honorable mention shows was The Wonder Years.
Yeah.
And that was a really influential show for me. And now that I think about it, I think it influenced a lot of my love of history too.
Okay.
Because I'd never been exposed to anything like that. That show was very unique. And that was a show that for years was not available on DVD, not streaming, nowhere.
All because of the music
so
rights.
Music, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So they had to fight, and basically what they ended up with, they got all of the music except for The Doors,
Wow.
I believe was the only music.
And that's funny because that was his signature walking away music was Turn, Turn, Turn.
That's not The Doors.
No? Oh my gosh, what am I
that's
saying?
The Bird.
The Doors, the Birds, whatever.
There is
No.
There is like an episode that's basically a Doors episode. They have to replace all the music. But honestly, if you're gonna lose any music from that show, lose The Doors. Fuck The Doors.
I don't know, man. They have the organ, the rock organ. That's signature. It's good stuff.
Yeah, sure. No, they got some songs.
Yeah, Jim Morrison, shirtless and all that. Yeah, he rocks. Okay. Anyway. So
I know everyone goes through that phase of The
I
Doors.
think you're right. But man, Light My Fire was just an obnoxiously long song.
Yeah, I think that's the problem that I run into at the end of the day with The Doors, where I'm like, what? Why?
Yeah.
This is too long. And you know what? I love the Beatles, but they've got a couple of those shit too.
Ooh,
Come at me.
Yeah,
I got them hot takes.
I hate to say it, I agree with you. It's like you go through certain eras of the Beatles growing up. When you're younger, of course, it's the hits.
I love the Beatles, by the way.
I love them too, but I kind of love them from a distance at this point, just because I'm like, all right, I've heard it. I get it, guys. It's fine.
Yeah.
I totally get it.
I am evolving into when I was a teenager, I loved Nirvana. I loved Kurt Cobain. And now I'm like, okay. Now I'm like, fucking, man, Soundgarden's really good. Why did I, Pearl Jam's really good. Why did I think this was the best that grunge had to offer? I'm sorry, Chris Cornell has the best voice in grunge.
Yeah, oh my God, yes, definitely. I mean, as a solo artist, as Soundgarden, as oh my goodness, the third band, the third act that he was with.
Audioslave?
Audioslave, yes, thank you. Oh my God, I got old man brain tonight. Audioslave, I was just obsessed with that first album. I listened to every song on there because I thought they just hit the nail on the head. It's like, yes, this is how you music.
So back to the television, because this is television not only influenced me on so many, but the music that I found, a lot of it I found through television. Yeah. I don't know about you, but I was like, oh, I found, I made mixes. I found artists that I still listen to and follow today.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
For example, Scrubs.
Sure.
That was where I first heard Joshua Radin.
That's where I first heard Colin Hay. Where I first paid attention to who Colin Hay is.
Yeah, I was going to say he's been around for a while, but that doesn't mean that you necessarily pay attention to him. But and then you follow that, and you follow them for years, and you're like, oh my God, I love this person, and then you almost forget that you found them that way.
Right.
So,
it's always just kind of and of course, Alan Thicke and his theme songwriting prowess.
God,
and
so good.
His child making prowess as well. Remind me later, just on to wrap up the Beatles tangent. Remind me later to tell you or talk to you.
Finish it now.
Okay, so there's a movie coming out
let's do it.
that Dee showed me a trailer
that
for.
Movie looks good.
Called Yesterday.
Yeah.
And it's coming out soon, and it's got Ed Sheeran, but it's got. He's just a side character. I don't even know why I brought him up. But basically, it's by the team that did Slumdog Millionaire. But the premise of the film, for those that don't know, is that there's a guy who basically goes into a coma, and when he wakes up in a world that never heard of the Beatles. Yeah. So he's a musician, and when he starts playing these amazing songs that no one has ever heard before, they think of him as some type of savant. So he's doing the rounds on TV and everything. And then at the end of the trailer, they show the signature, bare feet come into the scene. These two men here say that they wrote these songs and you stole it from them. And it's ooh, what's going to happen? So yeah, it looks pretty trippy. I'm interested in checking it out.
If you would have just explained the plot to me like you just did, I would be like, that sounds like a stupid movie. But seeing the trailer, I was like, oh, I don't know if it's the Beatles music that's selling it or what, but I'm into this. It's the same thing with Across the Universe. Did you ever see Across the Universe? You're not a musical person, but
I'm usually not. But that was really good.
So you're like, it's a Beatles musical. I'd be like, okay. You'd be like, okay. But I love that movie. That movie's awesome to me. So sometimes it's just, it's the right director and the right everything for it to work. But yeah, I'm interested in that one as well.
12 years ago that came out. So we're due for another Beatles movie, I guess.
Are you serious? Man, I feel old.
2007. Damn. I know. I remember watching it in my apartment. Just like, oh, wow, okay.
Because I saw it in theaters.
Archie let me borrow it because I just let it go. I was like, forget it. Archie was like, no, you got to watch this. You got to watch it. I'm like, okay,
Guess
fine.
what? If it's got Evan Rachel Wood,
You're
I'm there.
In. So I turned off Tosh.0. I turned off Tosh.0 and I like unpopped my collar and I watched Across the Universe and I was so entertained. It was so good.
Oh, I'm glad I didn't know you then.
Yeah, no, I was an asshole.
Okay, so what are your honorable mentions then? Let's do that. Okay. And then let's get into the actual list.
All right, so we'll do honorable mentions all in one go. We're not going to dwell on them too much. I'll just rattle all mine off.
Yes, we will. Whatever, dude.
Okay, yeah. Go so I'm starting off strong with the honorable mentions with The Office and Parks and Rec sharing a slot.
Okay.
Steven Universe.
Okay.
Adventure Time.
Yep.
Seinfeld.
Okay.
The Simpsons. Animaniacs. Breaking Bad.
Oh my God, Matt.
I know. The aforementioned.
Your honorable mentions is long.
I know. The aforementioned Third Rock from the Sun, and last but not least, 30 Rock.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't make a whole honorable mentions list. I just wrote the Wonder Years, and I put my teen dramas. It's my Dawson's Creeks. It's my One Tree Hills.
The Dawsons.
It's my jams.
Yeah.
All of those. Well, pretty much those two. I kind of like the OC. I dabbled in a lot of these
the early 2000 WB lineup basically is your honorable mention.
Yeah.
I love it.
Absolutely. I had a hard time not putting them on the list, but at the same time I was like, this is okay.
Yeah. So I feel like people that have been listening to the show long enough are going to know what's going to be on your list basically. Because you talk about shows you like quite a bit on the show. So that's fair. I think people will know, but I'm wondering if I'm wrong. So please, by all means, your first.
I'll do one and then you do one. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Okay. The Office.
Yep, saw that coming. That's why I paused after I said it on mine. I'm like, yeah, I know.
Yeah. No, The Office, man. Like that show is groundbreaking in a lot of ways, but more than that, I can watch it anytime and it's funny.
Yes.
It's always good.
100% agree. It's always good. Except for the majority of that first season.
No, false. It's all good. Even the seasons after Michael, they're all good.
Okay, all right. Yeah, you had a
rewatch it.
You had a rewatch with the post Michael seasons, and without that pressure hanging over it, like, oh, is he going to show up for the last one? I think it is a lot more enjoyable. I agree, but I still say it's not as strong as the Michael years. The Michael years after season 2.
Strong.
Yeah,
like it's still good. That doesn't mean like everyone acts like you just skip over it. I'm like, no. You don't skip. It's all good.
Yeah.
There's some really funny stuff in that. Like I think that we go, Michael is that show is an ensemble, and like Parks and Rec was still good after you lost Chris and Ann.
Yeah. Like
The Office is still good after you lose Michael. He is a important part of the show, but he's not the only part of the show.
You're right.
That's my opinion on it. So
I'm totally with you on that.
All right, name one for you.
All right, my first.
I feel like you're gonna Okay, my prediction for you. You said that I would name stuff that everyone knows. My prediction for you is you're gonna name shit that I've never even watched. That would be my guess.
I can think of. I'm looking at my list now. I see one on the list that you may not be aware of.
Okay.
But everything else you're totally down with.
Okay.
So my first one, which I feel like is an obvious choice for me, Batman the Animated Series. I love this show. Now, this gets into one of my little personal rules that I made for myself. I didn't want to make it all animation. So this is one of the few animated shows that I put on the list. It's one of two, basically. So Batman
Guess
the
how
Animated
many
Series.
animated shows I have on my list?
That's a big goose egg. You got none on your list.
None.
That's right.
None. Although Bob's Burgers would be the one.
Ooh, now I'm surprised I didn't make your honorable mentions, but I'm also surprised I didn't make mine. I didn't
make a giant honorable mentions, so I would have.
Yeah.
Bob's Burgers is amazing. Anyway, go ahead. Batman animated series. Go.
Batman animated series. So Paul Dini and Bruce Timm, all these amazing voice actors, including Mark Hamill and Kevin Conroy. I mean, you just have so much talent involved in this show. A lot of people don't know that Paul Dini started at Warner Brothers doing Tiny Toon Adventures, Animaniacs, stuff like that. So he brought all of that love and skill with him to Batman the Animated Series. All these guys are veterans of the Warner Brothers, family there. But yeah, this show, it was just so captivating to me as a kid because it captured everything that I loved about the movies without all the weird adult shit, basically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
One good thing about animated shows, especially at that time period, is that they still had to appeal to standards and practices. So there were some things that these sometimes very perverted animators, sometimes to a detriment, wanted to put in the show that they weren't allowed to.
You had to be clever.
You had to be clever with it, and sometimes that resulted in better comedy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Famously, fuck John Kricfalusi, but everybody else involved with Ren and Stimpy was doing a great job. But when it came back on Spike TV and they took the brakes off, it was like, oh, this is just gross for being gross. There was no creativity to it whatsoever. Same thing. There was
another show where that was a problem, and I can't quite remember. Sorry, go ahead. You might have given me a
No. Rocko's Modern Life was kind of like that too. But
I was thinking of a live action show for some reason in my brain that came back in a different type of setting or format or whatever, and I was like, oh yes, Twin Peaks.
Yeah, okay.
Twin Peaks came back on Showtime, and there were a lot of things that were, whatever about that. But the fact that they could come back on Showtime and you're like, there are boobs, there's this, like, what? This is not right. Like, this feels wrong.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like the same show.
So, yeah, this cartoon was just groundbreaking, and it set the tone for superhero animated cartoons till today, basically. Paul Dini is still working.
That is the golden age of animated cartoon like that.
Definitely. Paul Dini and Bruce Timm are still working with Warner Brothers. There was a comic, actually, and this is actually tied into Batman Animated. There was a comic that Paul Dini wrote a couple of years ago called Dark Knight, A True Batman Tale. And it kind of gives an autobiographical look at his life around the time that the show was being created, down to the point where he was actually attacked in an alley, and he had to get like facial reconstructive surgery and everything. They just beat him senseless and robbed him.
Wait, he got really?
Mugged. Yeah, in real life, this happened. This is an autobiographical comic, and it's actually broken up with appearances by his psyche, represented by Batman and the rogues like Joker and all that sort of thing. Just like, the angel and the devil on his shoulder talking to him and all that. He makes a lot of confessions about what, type of mindset he was in, how he got obsessed with just kind of being inside all the time and playing video games and not really putting himself into his creativity, and how he works on getting through that even today. So it's a very unique look at the mind of one of the creators of that show. So check that out if you get a chance. So the show itself, they recently re-released it in HD through the DC Universe app and on Blu-ray.
I was going to say, have they done Blu-rays? But yeah,
they've done Blu-ray as well, and digital if you want to just buy them on iTunes or something like that. And it's
I like my physical copies. Old man Lex.
I do too, and it's great until you start running out of room. But it's wonderful. It's beautiful. YouTube has a side-by-side comparison of the restoration they did. With the intro alone, it'll give you goosebumps watching it. It's like being a kid again. If you
That's
haven't
cool.
seen Batman animated somehow, you need to check it out. It's great.
It's not on Amazon anymore, is it? Because of DC's thing?
I think the standard definition versions may
yeah.
still be on Amazon, but like I said, DCU digital Blu-ray, it's on sale all the time on Blu-ray. Like it goes up and down all the time. So check it out. It's worth it.
Yeah, get your physical copies for the apocalypse, man.
Mm-hmm,
You got to be able to watch them in the bunker.
That's right. Make sure you
We're
have a Blu-ray player.
Wi-Fi.
No. You got to make sure you have a Blu-ray player that doesn't have to check in on the internet to work too. So.
Yup.
Yeah.
Check.
All right.
VHS. No.
Go to if when the apocalypse takes place, break into an Urban Outfitters, get those VHS tapes.
Oh God.
All right, but
them.
It's your turn. It's your turn.
Okay, my next one is 30 Rock.
30 Rock.
Of course.
I knew that was gonna be on there. It had to.
Yeah, of course. I would say that more than anyone else, other than like I mentioned Spielberg, Tina Fey has the biggest influence on my life. I grew up with her being on SNL, being on Weekend Update, being the head writer of SNL. And then she goes and does 30 Rock, and then she makes, movies and continues to work now. And she's done, Kimmy Schmidt, and that show Great News that was amazing, that unfortunately got canceled because they're idiots at FBC. That show could have run, 5 years. I would have been really happy. But 30 Rock is, for me, I mean, I'd be hard pressed to say it's not the funniest show of all time for me. Like nothing else makes me laugh the level of 30 Rock. There's so many jokes in every single scene that you can watch it so many times and catch a new joke every time.
Oh, for sure.
I mean, it's the best. It's my favorite, I had to include it. Her influence is so strong. So
yeah. She's a powerhouse creator, and
yeah,
I love the fact that she's so humble about it too.
Yeah, I realize it's very popular to dislike Tina Fey right now. I don't give a fuck. I love Tina Fey.
Yeah. I mean that takes us into another story that we were going to bring up later. So I'm not even going to touch that right now.
Yeah, I don't care about your hot takes, Twitter people.
Hot takes.
Unless they're very valid, and then I do care about them. Okay. All right, what's your next one?
My next one. The one, the only Boy Meets World.
Oh, I did not expect that one.
No?
Okay.
Really? Okay. Well,
no.
I thought
I didn't.
That was the one I thought you knew I was going to put on there.
No.
Okay.
No, that surprised me.
So
that
the game
would be
is
on
still
my
afoot.
honorable mentions as well.
Oh,
if I were to make an honorable mention.
Okay. All right.
Because that and the Savage Brothers. I had that and Wonder Years. I watched those a lot as a kid.
Yeah.
In repeats and everything.
Like, I even enjoyed the later seasons where it basically became the Sean Show featuring Corey.
Oh.
I'm sorry, not the Sean Show, the Eric Show featuring Corey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of. That was actually, I thought that was more early on. I don't remember. It became more about Corey and Topanga's marriage at the very end. Like, it was all about that.
And that was kind of sad because they had such a sad life near the end of it. Like, something happened to Corey along the way. Well, let me back up a second. So one of the reasons that I like the show is because it tended to reinvent itself quite often.
Oh, it did, yeah, for sure.
It started out as like just, the regular...
How many theme songs did that show have?
I know. And they were all wonderful. Like, I love the one where they're just kind of hanging out on the stoop and then they get in the sports car and they're driving off. Total 90s intro. Oh, yeah. I loved it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, they went through transition periods with all the characters, even to the point where when they graduated from high school, they had callbacks to all the old characters that kind of disappeared along the way.
Like Minkus.
Yeah. So
there's something about that show where you're watching it and then the Topanga makes the switch to hot. And you're like, oh no, this is uncomfortable now. I can't do that. What?
I would say the opposite. It was very comfortable, and I appreciate the fact that they did not try to keep her in that same character mode. They were like, oh no, she is a total smoke show, and we need to let her blossom.
Yeah.
And let her do her thing.
For sure.
Yeah. That was.
Yeah, they let the characters evolve, and it was a great show. It was a really great show.
It had a series of.
I thought that the end was like very into, like you're talking about them being sad in the beginning of their marriage and everything. I thought that went along with the show though. Like that was the heart of the show was they will deal with the hardships of things.
Yeah.
And then, but at the end it'll be okay. That was kind of the whole thing.
They had to kind of change Ben Savage's like character a little bit just to make that work though. Like he became almost kind of like a cringer sort of a character, like he was just very neurotic all the time,
Yeah.
Like he was really.
I think that was I think that was actually an interesting move though. It was like a natural progression. Like he would be a neurotic guy, like at that age, at 18, 19. Like that fits, like it checks to me. I'm like, oh yeah, he's going through this stage of figuring out who he is. And he's also married, which is, that can go, really well or really horribly.
Well, the reason why I do like that though is because it gave Topanga an opportunity to be so supportive and so strong in that marriage. She was definitely the backbone of that relationship.
Oh,
From the time that she first kissed him on that show, like she basically was just saying, look, we're meant to be together. You're my man. We're doing this. And, I'm going to make sure that we both survive. And
I got this. Yeah.
Yeah. I appreciated that depiction of her character.
Yeah.
And
I did too.
Callback. I know that you mentioned that you don't really recognize voice actors too much, but Will Friedle, of course, his brother Eric, also played Terry McGinnis on Batman Beyond.
Oh, I was gonna go straight to Kim Possible.
That too, yeah. I mean,
stoppable.
That's right. He was so stoppable on that show.
He was very stoppable.
Yes, and of course, Mr. Feeney, William Daniels, the voice of Kit, the car from Knight Rider.
Oh yeah, that's right. I always forget about that. Oh man, I remember just the Kim Possible thing real quick. I remember playing. Disney Channel had, like, on their website, they had a bunch of games from the show. Yeah. And they had this game, and I'm curious if anyone else played this, although I don't know if anyone else is in my age range where they would have played it. But, like, they had this game where you were Rufus, which was Ron's naked mole rat. And you were in the, like, burrito place, and you were putting the toppings on, like, the burrito. So it was like, if it's a burrito, it has to be salsa. If it's the ice cream cone, it has to be like the hot fudge. And you had to get the right thing, and then it would get faster. They would come out faster. Nachos that needs cheese. And like, I remember playing that forever. I was obsessed with that game. I loved it. It was so addictive and fun.
Okay. Can you grant me 2 minutes for a side note?
Yeah. I mean, I just went on one, so.
But it's completely unrelated to everything we're talking about, except for what you were just talking about.
Okay.
Disney Channel games. Yes. They still exist. And the best game.
Wait, are you telling me that I can play this Kim Possible game?
Yes, I'm looking at it right now. You can play.
What?
No, wait, after we're done recording. But my favorite game.
Oh my God.
It's there for you. But my favorite game on the Disney Game website was Lilo and Stitch 625 Sandwich Stacker.
Yes, Sandwich Stacker. That was an awesome game.
Yes, it was.
Yes.
I love Lilo and Stitch so much. Sometimes I'll just deep dive into Lilo and Stitch like lore because it fascinates me. Just the fact that this character, that this franchise is just so insistent.
It has a weird lasting power.
Yes. It really does. With the rides, with the shows, with the movies. Anyway. The experiment that they made before Stitch, who's 626, was just a little alien monster who was obsessed with making sandwiches. 625. Yeah. And that was like, the funniest thing to me, because all these other ones, they all had their little quirks and everything. They were like, oh, this one can control rain. This one can control the earthquakes and all that stuff. But no, this one just likes making sandwiches. And they made him like so funny. And he's my favorite character on that show.
I'm sorry, but I'm searching this Kim Possible thing, and it was so funny because it said Kim Possible Bueno Rufus. It's called Bueno Rufus.
Bueno Rufus. Oh my goodness. It's funny the things that Disney Channel does for us. But this is not the last appearance of a Disney property on my list. Oh, I should close out the Boy Meets World segment with
I can play these. Oh my god.
I've lost Lex, guys. She's gone. That's it. I've lost her to the Disney games. That's it. But anyway, closing out the Boy Meets World portion.
I don't want to get
it's great that it survives now through Girl Meets World, that they brought it back that way. I thought that was kind of cute.
Yeah, it got canceled, but yeah, it was.
I mean, for the moment, it was cool. It came back, and they had the whole cast on there. It was very heartwarming for me to see that happen. So it's kind of cool.
Oh my god, I had to minimize it. I can't. Very excited. Although they're all saying I need to download it. I need to download the root, and I'm like, oh no.
Not on my laptop. Sorry. Nope.
Oh well, yeah. I mean, I wouldn't either, but I also want to play it. Okay. All right. So next one, I'm gonna go with the other obvious one, which is the show that got me into comic books, Smallville.
Ah, yep.
Yeah, I didn't have any interest in superheroes before Smallville. I didn't buy into it really. It wasn't my thing. And Smallville, like what happened was I bought like season 2 on DVD. I did this a lot when I was a kid. I would buy a random season of a TV show because I liked the cover. So it was like season 2. I was like, oh, this DVD. And then I was like, wait, what's happening? Like, huh? And then I ended up going back and watching it. And then I jumped on season 3 was when I like started watching it live. And I watched it from that point until the end of it.
It's always bittersweet when you catch up with a show that you're, just finding in its like later years. Because then it's like, oh crap, now I gotta wait a whole week like everybody else. That kind of sucks.
Yeah, it sucks. I discovered, now that I think about it, like most of these shows most of my like younger shows, I found that way. I was like, let me pick up this random DVD. Like, season 1 of One Tree Hill. Well, what's that? Like, what? I don't know why I did things that way, but I did. So, a lot of those shows, it was like, oh, it's like season 3 is getting ready to air. So, like, I caught up and then I watched them live. So, yeah, Smallville. Huge, like, very influential show. I would argue still holds up. It's on Hulu. I've watched it recently. I didn't think it was going to hold up because we have all of the Arrow and Flash and all of those shows. And it's more drawn out. Like, they give you everything up front in those shows. Like, you get a new suit every season on Flash and Arrow and everything like that. Smallville's like, no, we are doing something different here. But the formula, the feel of it is still there. So it's just good. Like, it's really good stuff. The graphics and everything hold up pretty well. Yeah, I think it's good.
I have a fun fact about Smallville that we've yet to cover on the show. Marvel was super salty about the success of Smallville because it was definitely not like the direction they were trying to go. They were still in the whole big buff dudes and scantily clad women and everything. And it was in the early 2000s. So of course they were still holding on to that. So they came out with a book, a limited series called Marville, which was a satirical look at the comic industry, conventions, and different trends. And on the cover of it, they have a gentleman who is basically tied up to a wooden fence. He's bare-chested, and he has an M painted on his chest as he looks solemnly down. Kind of like...
aren't they clever?
Yeah. And it was just so salty. So much so that the main character of this satirical book, his name was Cal AOL Turner. Yeah.
You can't see me rolling my eyes, but rest assured I'm rolling my eyes.
It picked up on the mic. I totally heard it. So, Marvel just super salty about the whole thing. It was kind of sad. Sad.
Well, I don't feel sorry for them. They're doing okay now.
Yeah, everybody.
I hear they're teaching like improv classes, and I'm like, they're okay. Like they're doing well. They're happy.
Yeah.
Like it might not be your definition of success, but like they're happy, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right, what's your third one?
My third one is one that I'm not sure if you've ever watched before because we've never talked about this.
Ooh.
It was a sci-fi show on Fox in the late 90s called Sliders.
Oh, I have never watched it. I have heard of it.
Okay.
That's a Jerry O'Connell one, right?
Exactly. Yeah, I was going to say, what do you know about the show?
I know it's a Jerry O'Connell show.
Yeah.
I know it's basically Quantum Leap.
Yeah, kinda. Yeah. Except it's more.
Except you slide instead of leap.
That's right. You know, but it was cool because it was a team. You know, it was Jerry O'Connell as Quinn Mallory, John Rhys Davies from the Indiana Jones movies as his professor, Maximilian Arturo, and then you had Quinn's girlfriend, Wade Wells, and she was just like a cool, spunky, kind of, gadget-friendly girl who was traditional in that time period of television. And then today. Yeah, she's a trope, but she was a smart trope. And then you have Rembrandt Brown, who is an R&B singer who basically got sucked up into the first slide portal that Quinn opened on accident. So the reason why Sliders it holds a special place in my heart is because this was Fox getting into the sci-fi business. So this is like 95, and
so of course, wait, was it pre X-Files?
I believe so. I could be wrong. Now I gotta look that up. But Sliders, X-Files, Fringe,
Fringe. Oh my God, I love Fringe.
Okay, so
did you like the last season of Fringe? Because I know that's a controversial thing.
I loved every episode of Fringe. I thought it was just gorgeous from start to finish.
I mean, it's peak when they're dealing with like the dual universes for the first time. But man. Everything's great.
It's so cool. It's so freaking cool.
Good shit.
I'm sure that the CG episode that they did probably doesn't age too well, but other than that.
The X-Files was 1993 to 2002.
Okay, so Sliders was a couple years after that.
But still, yeah.
Still, it was groundbreaking, I thought.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was cool because, this was Jerry O'Connell's comeback, man. He was just known as that kid from Stand By Me for so long.
Yeah.
But now here he is, leading man, action hero, sci-fi legend. And you know what? He really had chops. He was funny.
The chunky boy from Stand By Me got Rebecca Romaine.
That's right.
Joke's on you.
Ever so briefly, but he did.
River Phoenix.
Oh, wait, no, he's with her now. He's with her now. Yeah, no, I'm completely glossing over that last one. We're going back to the chunky kid from Stand By Me, which is funny because on an MTV, Day in the Life of special, they were following around Chris Rock as he was going to a shopping mall. And he ran into Jerry O'Connell and he goes, "Oh shit, it's that fat kid from Stand By Me." He could not remember his name. Legit, verbatim. He goes, "It's that fat kid from Stand By Me."
That would kill me. Oh, that's horrible.
And the cameras got him. He's like, "Oh, hey, how you doing?" And that's it. They just moved right on. Back to Chris Rock.
Oh, that's awful.
So, one of the things that I loved about Sliders, first of all, it was on Fox, and Fox kind of had that cool factor back then. It kept losing cast members. So basically, by the end of the series, it had been canceled. It was on Fox for 3 seasons, and then for the final 2, it went over to the Sci-Fi Channel. And at that point, I guess they couldn't afford paying Jerry O'Connell, so they just basically went with making Rembrandt the lead character. Which is funny because he was just the R&B singer who had no scientific knowledge whatsoever. Mm-hmm. And he just basically, yeah.
So Jerry O'Connell wasn't even on the show at the end.
He wasn't on the show at the end. At one point, they even brought in Jerry O'Connell's brother, Charlie O'Connell, to play Quinn's long lost brother from another dimension.
Oh.
It got deep. I mean,
remember how bad television used to be? Like, even when it was good, there was stuff where you're like, ugh, why?
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I'm sure going back to certain episodes and certain TV shows altogether, it's not going to be good, you know.
I don't know if we're talking about this all timeless. I don't know if it has to even hold up. Like, it could just be that influential on you. But, like, you enjoyed it. Who cares?
Right. It was special to me at the time, you know.
Yes.
I think about, like, something that didn't...
I ranked mine differently. I ranked mine of, like, I can still rewatch this show. And I do rewatch this show every year, every couple years, whatever.
Yeah. I look at something like Buffy. Like, at the time, it was like, yes, this is feminism. This is what it's all about. Check this out. She's kicking ass and, you know, just doesn't give a fuck about anything else. It's great. But then it's like you go back today with that eye and you're like, oh man, this show had a lot of problems.
It did. I still really like Buffy.
Yeah.
Team Spike or Team Angel?
Oh, Team Angel all the way.
Oh, fuck no, Spike.
I mean, no, Spike. Man. He's a villain. No.
I said a bang, a bangity bang. I said a bang, bang, bang. Yeah.
Spike gets no love from me. None.
Spike can get it.
I mean, at least
like look. That was it. That was interesting. Like, man, watching them have this entire relationship, like, that was interesting. Anyway.
No. When Angel left, I left with Angel. I watched Angel.
Whatever.
I didn't finish Buffy. I'm like, nah, man. Team Angel.
Oh, you didn't finish Buffy?
Nah, man.
Get
Fuck
out of
that
here.
Show. Fuck that last season. You know what?
You. We can all be slayers.
Technically, the last season happened in the comics anyway, because Joss Whedon came back and wrote some more Buffy.
That finale was good.
Yeah.
You didn't even watch it. What the fuck?
I watched the WB finale. I didn't follow it to UPN though.
Oh, UPN.
I watched the WB finale. Wait, was it the finale on WB where like the entire school got swallowed up by the Hellmouth, or was that before that?
I never watched any of Buffy live.
Okay.
So, I watched it all on Netflix. Like,
Okay. But like, do you remember how early that was in the show that happened?
That was like season 4, I believe.
Cool. So yeah, 7. that was like the end of the WB years then.
Right.
97, 98,
that was like the Hellmouth.
2000.
Yeah.
Like
that.
Yeah. Where Quark was the principal and all that stuff. That was great. It was good stuff. Yeah.
It's good. Yeah. All right. Number 4. I'm trying to decide which one I'm going to pick from this. All right. Lost.
Okay.
Lost is my jam. So the funny thing about Lost for me is it was a show that I hated for a period of time because I watched the pilot. The story of me with Lost is I watched the pilot like 3 times. When it aired, and then on DVD, and then I think on Netflix, something like that. And every time I was like, no, this doesn't grab me. This isn't it. I don't care. And it took my comrades, my three besties, going. They all loved Lost.
Yeah.
So it was Allie, Brad, and Ryan, and they love Lost. And they were like, you need to give this show a fair shot. And it was one of those things where, like, Brad pulled out his phone and was going through, like, the episodes, like, descriptions or whatever, the episodes. And they were all, like a group going through, kind of like, oh, this is... Okay, watch 4 episodes. They were like, watch 4 episodes and see. All right. So I go back to Netflix. I go back to The Well. Watch the pilot. I'm like, still not sold, man. This isn't working for me. But I keep going. And then I was like, oh my God, this show was not what I thought it was. This is not. See, everyone that got pissed about the mystery of Lost, like the finale and like, why didn't it do this? Why did that? That was my favorite part of Lost, was the philosophy and the religious undertones and like the exploration of what is humanity, what is life, what, like, all of that stuff. And then it was continued in The Leftovers. Like that show explored those themes on another level as well. And I know everyone was like, where's the science fiction? Like, that is good science fiction. Lost is good science fiction because it's exploring humanity. That's what good science fiction does.
I offer you this, and I accept and I agree with the fact that, yeah, people got a little too wrapped up with wanting answers from Lost more than enjoying the ride. But I'll offer you this. We were, folks that were watching in real time, getting gassed up.
I know what you're going to say, and you're wrong.
Okay. All right, well, let me finish. Just let me finish. We were getting gassed up by the ad machine. We were getting gassed up by
never mind.
Carlton Cuse and Damon Lindelof's podcast. Because let me tell you something. I was hooked on Lost ever since I watched the first episode.
Yeah, that's how most people were.
I didn't watch it live on TV, though. I watched it because I rented it from Netflix back when Netflix only sent you DVDs. Like, that's how long ago it was. So I started watching it there. I caught up in time for the second season. And from then on, it was like, I'm watching it live. I'm DVRing it. I'm watching it twice because I want to see everything that I missed out on. I'm going on the web. I want to like get all these different clues that they're laying down. And then I listened to the Carlton Cuse and Damon Lindelof podcast. Now, here's the thing about that. They kept insisting on that show, like, hey,
you were gonna say,
we have an ending. We have this in this. They would tease and say, we have it in this glass case over here. And if ever the show gets canceled, we're going to break the glass and we're going to just get the ending out there so you guys know what happens. We're not going to let them finish the show without a proper ending.
Yeah.
That's fine. That's cool. But in actuality, listening to Damon Lindelof talk about it now, he goes, yeah, no, we never really had anything. We were just fucking with you. And we were making it up as we went along.
Well, okay, first of all, that's the same thing that the Battlestar Galactica creator said. And there have been similar criticisms of, like, it's a 50-50 thing. You either like the ending or you don't. Battlestar, I mean. I don't like the ending of Battlestar. I don't like the last season, 2 seasons, or whatever. Mm-hmm. Lost, to me, I thought you were going to be like saying the thing, which is what everyone says, which is like, they said they weren't dead the whole time, but they were dead the whole time. No, they weren't. They weren't.
No. And I don't,
There's
honestly,
a whole video that, like, explains this perfectly. Like, he goes through the whole timeline and everything like that of what exactly was going on. What is the difference between the present, the flash forward, and the flash sideways, and that's in the past. Like, it's all different.
Yeah. I don't care about that.
I understand.
Much,
so I totally understand what you're saying. Where you're like, they didn't have a plan. Battlestar was the same way. Where they were like, we have a plan, but they didn't actually have a plan. I would argue that I don't care with Lost because I felt it held up, it made sense, and I liked the ending.
Yeah.
Whereas Battlestar, to me, just crumbled, like, before my eyes, where I was like, this is not, maybe it'll redeem itself now, maybe now, no, oh no, why is that robot dancing? What is happening? Like, what is happening?
Yeah.
So it just fell apart for me. But to me, Lost was strong to the bitter end. I cried for like an hour after the finale of Lost, where I was just like in shambles, emotionally broken from that show.
And I wanna just stress again that I do agree with you. I think the show was amazing, but certain things hurt my feelings so much, and I got in my own head and got just a chip on my shoulder about it, and that's on me, and I take full accountability for this. But killing off Mr. Echo, like, that got me because they built him up to be such a badass.
You know why they did that, though, right?
Well, because the actor was leaving the show.
Yeah, and he didn't want to be a part of it. He was like, I didn't sign up for this. I'm done.
Yeah, that's life. I totally get that. Michelle Rodriguez, same thing. She was such a badass. And then I
could not wait for her to get the hell off that show. I can't stand that actress. I'm sorry.
All right, that's fine. But I
get it. Like, no. Let me add on to that. Like, just like you're giving the fairness, I'm like, I get it. Like, I get why you like her, like, why people like her. I totally get the appeal. I just don't get the appeal, if that makes sense. Like,
I get it, but I don't care.
I get it. No. What I'm saying is I get it, but it's not my thing.
Yeah, no, and that's fine. That's totally fine. Right. It's just at the time and for the character they were putting out there, I'm like, yeah, this is what I want. I want to see her story progress. Now,
I will say that character or that season is my least favorite season of the show. I think
the tail end season,
which is season 2. Yeah.
Yeah.
It works overall, but it's kind of difficult to get through.
Right, because this is like, if I can compare it to another show, it's like when the Care Bears bought in the Care Bear Cousins. It's like, okay, I get that they're
weird
important.
Show to compare it to, but okay.
It's like, they were dead the whole time too. Shh, don't tell anybody. But yeah, so like the Care Bear Cousins came in.
I took a drink at that time. That was oh god. Oh, it burns. All right, this is worth it. Go ahead.
Oh boy, I hope that no, you can't die before you come to Chicago. That's the rule.
But I can die after.
Oh yeah, totally. All
right.
So anyway, yeah, I mean, it was just the fact that, I mean, the writers didn't know it was coming, and the showrunners didn't know it was coming, but when they built up the tail section to be such an integral part of what was going on, and then they were just dropping like flies, I'm like, well, fuck me, I guess. Okay. Goodbye, tail section people.
I think that I would argue it might be a good idea for you to revisit Lost. I would say that the only thing that works against Lost from today's standards, and that's funny because it's just a couple years, but that now we do more like 13 episodes a season, maybe 10. They were doing 22, 23. Like,
and that's something else that worked against it, because ABC kept asking them for more. They wanted to end it. Even on the podcast, they did mention that we want to stop. We want this show to have a good ending, but ABC keeps asking us for more episodes. Yeah,
like the Jack's tattoos thing. Like that criticism that episode got and everything, which I totally understand. That was in season 3. They had 6 seasons total. They didn't want to keep doing the show. Like they were running out of steam. And they had to completely rewrite it, which is why they have the, off the island stuff and like, that's another thing too, where you're talking about a show evolving, retooling and everything. Like that show was not afraid to reinvent itself.
And what a charming cast. Oh my God.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
You have Michael Emerson as Ben Linus. You have Harold Perrineau as Michael.
You got the Wasp. You've got Fast and Furious girl.
You got Naveen Andrews. You got Saeed. You got
that guy that was on the cover of that Weezer album.
Yeah. Like, what was the name of that album again? Hurley, right? I don't
know.
I don't know what the character's
name
is.
It was the Black Album. Yeah.
Sure. Why not? Daniel Day Kim. Come on.
Brilliant cast, brilliant writing. It's just it's there for me. Like and the things that people, the problem that I have with the criticism of Lost now is that it's the stuff that people love and crave in television now. Mm-hmm. And they were groundbreaking when they did it. They set a new standard. You would not have Westworld without Lost. You would not have these things. And people love it now. They love this intricate mystery. And I noticed with like The Leftovers, they loved that things weren't explained.
Yeah.
Like they loved the let the mystery be philosophy of that. But with Lost, people just didn't accept it. And I don't know if that's just the curse of being the first one, like being that groundbreaking of a show. Well, but it's really annoying.
With The Leftovers, I think that by that point they were just like, people had tempered their expectations. Plus, the average, I would argue that the average viewer of HBO shows is used to just being left, with blue balls, basically.
That's true.
After Carnival, after Deadwood, they're just like, well, I'm not going to get an ending out of it. Sopranos, it's like,
they planned that.
For sure.
Yeah.
But I'm just using it as an example. Like, people were ready to be disappointed by the ending of an HBO show. You know
what I will say? I have no opinion on Sopranos, actually. I kind of get upset about the Sopranos finale for people that were actual fans. It's not my thing. So I'm like, I don't really have a judgment on it. Like, I was going to say like, oh, that was a mistake. But then I'm like, you know what? No, I didn't devote, I watched like 2 seasons of that show. I didn't devote, 6, 7 years, however long it's on the air, to that show, getting so invested in those characters. I don't know how I would feel if I watched that finale with that knowledge in mind,
Yeah.
You didn't like it?
I dug it. I thought it was a good
Okay.
show, but I wasn't like obsessed with it like a lot of folks were. I thought it had
I'm very, very obsessed with that show.
it was visually stunning. I mean, when I say that, I mean just like the cinematography of the show and the
If I
just
wanted
the
to watch a bunch of Italian people yell at each other, I'd just go to a family reunion.
hey, I mean just the
Oh.
establishing shots of Tony and the rest of the guys sitting outside of the deli or in the back room at the strip club or just him by the pool. Just like
Yeah.
those moments where it's quiet, like those to me were the most beautiful of the show because it's just doing all this character work without the characters even having to say a word. You know?
Yeah. Do you want me to tell, since we're talking about The Sopranos, even though The Sopranos is not on our list, do you want me to tell a quick mob story?
Sure.
So I've never mentioned the name of maiden name and all that. So I can talk about it.
Okay.
So,
Oh man, I can't wait for this.
so one morning, my father was having breakfast at my mom and pop-pop's house, my mother's parents' house. My mom was there, my dad was there. They were just, eating cereal or whatever, just get together. That's, it's a common thing, like just going over for breakfast or whatever. That was a thing that we did. And I wasn't born yet. My mom was pregnant with me at the time. So my dad was like, they were getting married. They didn't get married until I was like 3, something like that.
Oh, okay.
But they, so like, my dad was in life and everything. So, and I don't want to name any, even first names. One of my mother's sisters comes in and she's real upset because her boyfriend's being an asshole. So she's like, he's being a jerk. And she's like, he's doing this, he's doing that. I can't stand him. I hate him. I can't do that. My pop looks up from his cereal and goes, well, sweetie, do you want me to have him taken care of?
Oh, okay.
And my dad's sitting there like, what the fuck? And she goes, no, Pop. It's not that. It's fine. You don't need to do anything like that, Pop. It's okay. Okay, sweetie. Goes back to eating his cereal.
just as one does.
Yeah, because like the story is his brothers were all, in it, and
Yeah.
it was definitely like a thing. But I just love, like, my dad loves telling that story because he's like, don't do anything bad to this family. Okay, all right, cool.
All right.
My dad's like from this little Indiana farm town, and then there's this, old school Italian dude just like eating his cereal, asking if you want to have a guy killed. Like, like such a Sopranos. Like, what the fuck? Anyway, that's my mob story, guys.
Holy
Have
shit.
fun.
Okay.
Yeah, my pop was not in the mob
Don't
that I know of.
don't cross Pop. Gotcha.
No, he's dead. It's okay.
I mean,
See, this is the thing. Everyone involved, like the people that would have been in it and everything, they're all dead. Like, the siblings of him and everything like that. They were old. They lived good, long lives, and I don't know, maybe killed a couple people.
nothing.
It doesn't.
Hey.
So we somehow got there, but that's what happens when I'm the Bert. Wait, no, I'm the Ernie. I'm the Ernie.
Yeah.
Or Bert and Ernie poll.
Yeah, I thought I was the Ernie, but you're definitely the Ernie.
I'm the Ernie, y'all. Okay, so
Okay.
I did Lost. So now
Yes,
it's
you did.
your third one.
Oh shit. All right. I'm gonna just throw like a goofy one in here just to lighten the mood a little bit. My next one.
Fine, pick whatever. You're good.
Yeah. Oh no. Well, I mean, this is
This is our podcast. We're sweet and sour, baby.
There you go. This is a franchise that I take very seriously, more seriously than it deserves. It's very close to my heart. It's near and dear to me. Longtime listeners know. People that know me basically know.
Very nerdy.
It's gonna be Darkwing Duck and DuckTales. I can't separate the two.
Jesus Christ.
I can't separate the two. I love the ducks. The Disney ducks are just magnificent.
Look.
They have such heart. They have such energy. I just such a very deep history. And there's so much for you to enjoy within the duck world. It's so great. I love them.
I can't disagree with that. I loved them when I was younger. Like
it felt like shade. It felt a little shady.
Intentional shade. That was not intentional shade. The reason that I say when I was younger is I have not seen them in years, so I can't say, oh, I love that show, because I haven't seen DuckTales in 20 years. Like
yeah.
Realistically, like I was 6 years old, 7 years old, or whatever when I was watching DuckTales. I don't remember it.
So
same with like Animaniacs and all that. Like I loved those shows, but I was watching them when I was younger. I don't know if they still hold up for me.
Yeah. I love I should also mention, like, the whole idea of Uncle Scrooge, and Donald, of course, just being such a large part of, the Disney, mythos, I guess. It's kind of cool because they give it such respect. Like, Donald Duck is an affable character, and he's always getting shit on, and, he's always getting kicked around, but just that character alone gets so much respect from Disney. It's incredible. There's, of course, the Three Caballeros, and I butchered the pronunciation, but you know what I'm saying. Yeah. That movie that came out years ago, where he was part of this trio of musicians, and it was like live action.
Three Amigos, like, parody, right? No?
Yeah. Well, sure. Okay.
I don't know. No, that was a guess. I don't remember. I vaguely remember what you're talking about.
Yeah. So basically, it was just him and these other two birds that were part of a band that they would perform, and it was like one of those Disney type of festive movies where it didn't really have a plot.
I remember this.
Yeah, it was like mixed with live action and animation and stuff.
Was
and
that a direct-to-VHS type of movie?
I think it had a theatrical release, but it was limited, and it was well before we were on this earth. So, yeah. So that was cool. But the reason I bring it up is because on the recent iteration of DuckTales, the 2017 reboot, they bought in the Three Caballeros. They bought, and they sang their famous songs and everything. And they kind of had to deal with the fact that Donald was once part of this famous trio.
Okay.
And it's like his nephews are freaking out, like, oh man, you had this whole secret life and we didn't even know.
That's cool.
So in this universe, in the current Duck universe, which is just basically DuckTales right now, they mention all the other Disney afternoon locales like St. Canard and Spoonerville. Mm-hmm. So these are real places. One thing that breaks my heart, but is also kind of cool, is that Darkwing Duck exists in this universe, but he exists as a TV show that Launchpad watched when he was growing up. So Launchpad was never Darkwing's sidekick. It's just his favorite TV show.
Okay.
And he has like a bobblehead on the dashboard of the cockpit of the plane.
So it's him pretending he was in that. Right?
I guess. No? I'm sure they'll come back to it.
I was going to say, they have a plan.
They have a plan. And I believe it. Because
look, unlike Lost and Battlestar, they actually have a plan here.
He has a bobblehead on the dashboard of his plane, and it says, "Let's get dangerous" when he hits it. It's kind of cute.
Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah.
So I'm glad you like the new one, too. Like, you feel like
I definitely do. And I mean, for those that are...
the show.
It honors the show, and for those that are just like peripheral fans of the whole Duck thing, David Tennant does the voice of Scrooge McDuck now, and that's kind of cool.
David Tennant's all of the cast. They have a lot of good cast members doing. Ben Schwartz is one of them. Beck Bennett. Who's the other guy? Who's the third? Community.
Danny Pudi is one of the.
Yeah,
Danny Pudi's in there.
Yeah.
Who else? Bobby Moynihan,
Yes.
So,
Beck Bennett is the
he's Launchpad.
pilot. Yeah.
So it's Bobby Moynihan, Danny Pudi, and the third guy is the dude from Parks and Rec whose name always escapes me. Ben Schwartz. Yes. Okay. So yeah, I mean it's got a loaded cast.
Yeah.
And it's so cool. It's so entertaining to watch. And they even make reference to the video game, the classic NES game from my youth.
Yeah.
With music cues and just stuff in the background.
That's cool.
I love it so much. Yeah. So
that's great.
It's worth sinking my teeth into.
And there's a whole new generation of kids who are going to enjoy DuckTales. That's cool.
And me. And me again.
I mean, yes, it's cool that everyone enjoys it.
Okay, all right. Back
This show must serve me.
Yes. It's not what I wanted it to be. It's not for you, dude. Chill out.
Yeah.
How
did it ruin your childhood? How did the ruin your childhood?
It ruined my childhood. I'm so disappointed that. Yeah, no, that's cool. Yeah. Anyway, what's your next pick, Lex?
Okay, 2, which I'm not. Once again, this is not in order, but I feel like you probably would have guessed this one. Gilmore Girls.
Of course.
Of course. Love it.
How could they be left out off the list? I mean, it's the Gilmore Girls.
Yeah. That was. That's once again a show I can revisit. A show I really love. The only thing I haven't revisited was the Netflix reboot because it was rough. The last episode was the last episode was really good, but once again, okay, we go back. When you change format on a show, when you go from network to Netflix, Amy Sherman-Palladino, was given free reign, and for some reason on Maisel, she's good. Those episodes are like an hour long a piece, and it works and it's good. But she took Gilmore Girls and she made it 4 episodes, an hour and a half a piece, basically, roughly. So they're basically a movie length, and something's gone, something's lost. It doesn't recapture the original show until the last episode.
Yeah, that's wow.
And I like the ending. I understand why she chose the ending that she chose. I think it would have made more sense when the character was 22 instead of 32. Like, when the daughter was 22 instead of 32, because her being an aimless person made more sense for like a season 8 of the show in the original run. But the network pushed Amy Sherman-Palladino out basically, and last year the season 7 was not her running the show. It was completely off. So basically I haven't revisited that, but the original show, the first 6 seasons, although let's face it, season 6 was rough, but like the first, like, especially when she was in high school, so the first 4 years of that show and everything, it was solid. Such good writing. The female characters were the stars of that show. There were never, the men were side characters. They were not the stars. Even like Luke, even, their grandfather on the show, they were secondary to the women and to their problems in their lives. That is unique even now. It was very unique in 2000 when the show started. So there's something special about that show. There's nothing else like it. I love Maisel. I love Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. I think it's going to be on par with Gilmore Girls. Like, I think it's going to be on the same level of like place in my heart, but it's ongoing, It's hard for me to rank a show that's still going.
Yeah. I almost wanted to put Maisel on my list too, but I didn't include it out of spite because I still am mad that you made me love that show because it's so good.
Yeah.
It's so good.
So good. Yeah, it's hard to put a show that's currently on the air too. Like,
it's true.
You don't know if it'll take a weird turn and you're not going to like it, Yeah, I mean, I hate to say that, but like sometimes shit happens. Like in a show, like the first few seasons might be special for you, but then it falls apart. Like it happens all the time.
Yeah, it's got to stick the landing. That's critical.
Like I put, for my like really big sentimental love shows, like This Is Us is a show that I love. Love that show. I would not put that on the list right now because I feel like I'm in the middle of the story. I don't know the whole story yet. And there's a chance that I might not like the whole story. It doesn't mean I'm not going to look back, on what I've seen so far and enjoy it and everything like that. But it just feels like I'm halfway through the book. And I can't quite say this is my favorite book of all time, So to me, I understand the Maisel, like, no, I'm not going to put it on there because, But anyway, what is your number 2? Not in order, but you know what I mean.
Oh, Yeah. This goes back to one that we talked about at length in a previous episode, Frasier.
Frasier. Okay.
Frasier. Yes.
It's Fraser. It's Fraser.
It's Fraser.
It's actually Frasier. It's Frasier. That's a 30 Rock callback. Go ahead. Yes.
You know, it's funny because that takes such a hard left from the cartoon shows that I've been talking about. It's just, it's so self-important, but it also knows that, and it makes fun of itself because of that. And I think that because of the character of his father being there, it made the show palatable to everyone. You know,
that show would not have worked if it hadn't been for the father. It's a balance, like it's a delicate and Roz, like it was.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
Well, Daphne too, to a degree, but like for the most part, it was the father and the sons, like their dynamic between the two of them, and then, you know, the others were spices added to it. They made it work.
I love the fact that it started out like, okay, this is going to be his show. But then the side characters just became so endearing and so important to the story that they got swept up as co-stars. Like almost every single one of them. Not really Roz so much, but of course his brother, Niles, and his father, and Daphne. It just seemed like they were all just the stars of the show. Almost, almost giving it a Cheers type of vibe, because it was never just about Sam. Of course, they tried to focus on Sam and Diane quite a bit in those first few seasons, but after a while, it's like, no, this is everybody's show.
Yeah.
Until it became the Rebecca show, and then it was just kind of like,
I like Cheers more than Frasier, but I understand why people love Frasier on that level. Like, I get it. Like, I do.
Like, there's certain lulls in Cheers that kind of push me away.
And you don't think Frasier has those?
I feel like Frasier was consistent throughout. Like, there's one season near the end where he's just kind of drifting along and he doesn't really have any point because they're, like, hard focused on Niles and Daphne and their burgeoning relationship. But that's such an interesting story. It's like you don't mind that Frasier's kind of taking a back seat, and you're almost, like, annoyed when he tries to become the main character of his own show, much like the rest of the characters on the show. Like, dude, there's more important stuff going on right now than you. Let's focus on that, and we'll get to you later. Like, who cares about your party? Just, sit over there. It's fine. You'll be okay. Yeah. But
that's funny, because I would not have picked Frasier for your list, even though I know you love it. And now, like, you saying that, I'm like, oh, yeah, of course, Frasier. But, no, that's solid. Okay.
Because from what I know, from what I hear, I shouldn't say from what I know, but from what I hear, Kelsey Grammer, not the best guy, you know.
Well, I don't care. That doesn't, I mean, I don't have to like him to love the show.
That's true. That's true. In fact, that's a testament to what a great actor and what a great job the writers and producers did of that show to make him likable on that show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So before I picked my last one, my number one kind of thing, I realized that I forgot a show within the honorable mentions that actually probably should have been on my list. Like I probably honestly should have knocked Smallville out for this, which is How I Met Your Mother.
Oh, yeah. I was expecting that to be number one.
It's not. And I forgot to put it on the list just because I love so many shows. But even right now, I'll kind of make an amendment to this where I'm like, I got to put in How I Met Your Mother over Smallville. Because it goes back to the 30 Rock thing. You can see little things that were there are things in the background of How I Met Your Mother that are jokes from like 2 seasons before. The writing in that show was amazing. I prefer the alternate ending to the ending that they aired.
Yeah.
I think that was there. If you haven't seen the show, which is possible, I will say watch it all the way through, and then go on YouTube and watch the alternate ending, or you can get it on DVDs, whatever way you get it.
Yeah.
If you've seen it, go watch the alternate ending. It's just they had, it's one of those things where they had the idea of how they wanted to end things, and they kept going even though the show had evolved past that.
Yeah.
But the show is solid. the cast is phenomenal. The writing. One of my favorite things about How I Met Your Mother is all but, I want to say 8, but I know it's less than 10 episodes of that show. All of those episodes are directed by the same woman.
Really?
Yes. That is not common in television. That is very uncommon to have a director be that involved. So in movies, the director is king, right? So in television, the writer showrunner is king. It's completely reversed. In movies, the writer is a throwaway. They don't respect writers in movies. They worship writers in television. Directors are throwaways on television. But anyway, so it's Pamela Fryman is the director. She is they literally called her the mother of How I Met Your Mother.
Oh, that's cool.
She ran the show. That is her show. And it actually, I said less than 10. She directed, I just looked it up to verify, all but 12 episodes of that show. Let's see, how many episodes were there? 208 episodes. She was involved in that entire show except for 12 episodes. That's phenomenal. There's no real comparison on that.
That explains a lot.
It's consistent. It's solid.
It is. And it's incredible just how consistent it is and still fresh, even near the end of the show. Yep. Because I got on board with How I Met Your Mother fairly late in the game. And it's thanks to my...
roughly?
Oh, man. I
was in 2. I was early. Like, I actually was shockingly early on that one.
They were probably on season 6 by the time I started watching it.
Okay, yeah.
And it's because my buddy Reggie,
it was a show that would have probably gotten canceled had Britney Spears not been on it. Believe it or not. You know, like, she brought enough attention to it where people tuned in. They were like, wait, this show's funny. And they went and started watching it. It's crazy.
But it's like, you have negative, not you, but most folks, most TV watchers have negative connotations about CBS because CBS, while it used to be cool and hip, it used to have Twilight Zone and stuff like that and Star Trek, they kind of started to really, really dig into that whole NCIS thing. And it was like, okay, I'm not missing anything on CBS. It's just, usually associated with older folks. But with How I Met Your Mother, it was just such a strong comedic presence that like I was saying, this is my buddy Reggie, who, he was in the armed forces and he traveled the world. And so he would just have to buy DVD sets and download TV shows and that sort of thing completely legally. Let me just.
Yeah. I know what you mean. He's buying them online or
he's buying them online. Yes. I just want to make sure to drive that point home. I know what you meant, but it's good to it's good to put that out there on the record. So anyway, he was like, dude,
Matt, why do you hate our soldiers? Why do you hate our troops?
He's like, you have to check out How I Met Your Mother. I'm like, okay, yeah, sure, dude, whatever, And no, he's like, no.
It's got a weird name. It's a 3-camera classic sitcom. Exactly. It's difficult to sell people on.
It's got Neil Patrick Harris. It's like, oh, who cares about Doogie anymore? Oh, I guess he was in Harold and Kumar, but whatever. Yeah. But no, man, this is the reason. This gave him a platform to really shine.
Oh, to really absolutely.
Bring out that comedic timing that he had and just that showmanship. And oh my God, he was amazing on this show. There's no way not to love Barney.
I would argue it has a huge impact just for the fact that he came out as gay on that show. Mm-hmm. And it did not, first of all, it did not affect the show, whereas previously, Ellen coming out as gay, ended her show, and, she broke that ground. But, when he came out as gay, it was okay, and, maybe people were surprised or whatever. He was a straight man on that show, and nobody questioned it on that show.
Right.
He broke a barrier.
He came out as gay, and I'm sure the producers were like, okay, cool, will you still be a hoe? All right, great, awesome. You're still here. Yeah, great,
no,
awesome.
It was, he's one of those people that you can look to and you can go, oh, he's an actor. He can do, that's the part that, always bugs me about stuff like that, where I'm like, no, don't say, I talked about it in the past, don't say this actor can't play this straight character.
Right.
because he's gay. That has nothing to do with it if he's a good actor. You know, Neil Patrick Harris was, I remember, you know, that being a big deal when that happened.
Right.
And so that was really cool. So I didn't have that on my list, and now I regret that. And now I love Smallville, but I'm going to kind of, you know, knock that out for How I Met Your Mother. But I can't ignore my number one.
Yeah.
Which
well,
is,
I
if
tell
you
you
had
what.
to guess, if you had to guess my number one now, of things that I've mentioned, things that I haven't mentioned, what would you guess?
Shoot, man. You already mentioned The Office, right? Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah,
I did.
you
And
did.
this is
You
the
did.
one.
You did.
This is the one where I thought we would intersect. That's why I saved it for last.
Shoot. I'm gonna go with probably Parks and Rec.
Nope.
Whoa. Okay. What is it?
It's Mad Men.
Holy shit. Okay. Yes.
Yep.
Yes. That tracks.
Mad Men.
That does track.
It does track.
Man. Yeah.
The Mad Men, guys. I love Mad Men. I love it. It's not PC. It's not clean. It's the protagonist is an antagonist almost. Like, you know, he is his own. It's about really fucked up people trying to deal with a very fucked up world. I love that era, as dirty and terrible as it can be. I would not want to go back to it because it's bad for women, for minorities, for, you know, for basically everyone who's not rich white male. But the show, I feel, and people have argued that it glamorizes it. I would argue that it shows from the first episode. I think they have the thesis of the show, which is it's John Hamm, Don Draper, sitting with Maggie Siff, which is she's was it Amanda or something? She's the same actress who ended up going on Sons of Anarchy shortly after that, playing Jax's like love interest on that show.
Yeah.
They're having a conversation, and she goes like, I didn't realize that it's difficult for you men too. I didn't realize that, and to me that establishes like, oh, this show is about like universal suffering. This show is about, you know, some people can be redeemed, but some can't because they keep falling back into the same issues and the same problems. It has visually, the writing, the music, the acting, everything about it. It's one of those shows that's praised on that level, and I believe it deserves all of the praise. I love it all the way through. I particularly, in my opinion, by the time the show ends, I feel all of the female characters are elevated and all of the male characters have fallen. All the male characters, let me rephrase that should have fallen, at least to a degree.
Oh, yeah.
And the female characters are elevated, but they are not in the position that they should be. And that, to me, is kind of realistic of, like, karma kind of working its way out. Anyway, I love it. I love the show. I know you love it as well.
Yeah. I actually love it, not only for the reasons you've mentioned, but also for the reason that I've mentioned about Sopranos, because there are moments in that show, there's these identifying moments where the characters are just kind of taking in everything, and it says so much about who they are.
Yeah.
I think about a specific moment where, oh my goodness, Peggy and who was the office manager chick Christina Hendricks played? What was her name?
Joan.
Okay, yeah. So Peggy and Joan are just in the elevator together, and they've both had just this tremendously bad day or week or whatever, and they hate each other. Like, they absolutely cannot stand each other. But even in this moment, it was like they just had to, like, game recognize game, you know?
Yeah.
Like, you know, look, we're both women, we're both working hard, you know, I sympathize with you in this moment. And they just kind of had that moment of just seeing eye to eye after so many years of just being at each other's throats. And it just, like, it was beautiful. It was a beautiful moment. Yeah.
I think that the show explores the damage of societal, like, you know, classes, issues like that, and just what childhood trauma can do to a person. I think that is a fascinating, and the traumas throughout our lives, like the mini traumas. I'm not going to say, because there might be people that haven't watched Mad Men, and you should go watch Mad Men, seriously. But like the trauma that Peggy deals with at the end of season 1 and into season 2 affects her entire life going forward. And you know, there's that moment where Dawn goes, you know, you'd be amazed how you can bury things, how you can forget things, how you can, you know, abandon this. But you can't, you know, and that's kind of one of the big things in the show. It's like you can't outrun it, but you can at the same time. It's so well done. I've visited that show about 3 times now, I believe, all the way through. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to again, especially talking about it. Like, it's going to happen again. And I'm going to get sucked in just like I always am.
It is so fun watching Jon Hamm get unraveled, just become increasingly unraveled.
When he says, it's like salt in the wound. I can still feel it when he says, I don't think of you at all. I'm like, oh my God.
Yes.
What? I mean,
oh man,
just beautiful.
Anyway,
that's it. You know, like that. It's hard to top that show for me.
It really, totally. I mean, he's such a villain. Like, he is the just epicenter of everything wrong in that situation.
But there is that thing where you can see why the women want to fix him, like, he's that. There's a charm to him. There's something about him that you're like, you know, there's something wrong with you, but I can't look away at the same time. You know, it's just, and I could see why women, why people of color, why, you know, any marginalized person would not like Mad Men or would be concerned about Mad Men. I think that there are men that probably view that show and they view it in a problematic manner.
Yeah. And
but
then, you know,
you can't control that. You can only look at, like, you can only view the art that way. And for me, I don't believe in going, well, this shouldn't be made because someone might view it that way. I disagree. I'm sorry. Like,
it's like all the guys who look at Scarface and see it as, you know, hey, this is what I want to be. This is something. This is a hero here. You know, they don't see him as the villain of his own story. It's a scary thing. But yeah, I totally get where you're coming from with that. But Mad Men,
like we've talked about violence in video games. Like, yeah, you can get a video game and be, you know, super into it and lose sight of reality. That doesn't mean that that's the norm. That doesn't mean that the video game shouldn't exist. Maybe you shouldn't, you know, get it so easily. I don't know. I don't know how you go about that. But, like, you know, the idea of this should, I don't like that thing that we're in, and I feel like we're kind of doing it a little bit in our culture now, and sometimes it's good and sometimes it scares me where it's like it's almost like it shouldn't exist. And I'm like, I don't know, man. Like, you know, I think that we should just teach people to think more critically about things. You know, if you're watching Mad Men and you're not looking at it like a painting, trying to evaluate exactly what the artist was thinking and feeling and intending and not intending and everything like that when they painted this, if you're just like, look at the pretty set and look at the cigarettes and man, they could drink and like, yeah, he grabbed that girl's ass, that's awesome. Like, no, you should not be viewing it that way. And if you are, you need to you know, reevaluate your life and the way you view art.
I get you. It's like there's certain levels to entertainment. Even using something just that isn't as polarizing of that nature.
Yeah.
Just, hey, somebody likes Back to the Future, and they don't see all the intricate, you know, threads that are tied through
Back
it
to
and
the Future is about a
callbacks.
kid trying to fuck his mom. You know what?
Basically.
Done.
Yeah, that's it. If that's what you want to see, then I guess that's the movie for you? I don't know. But if you just see it from that aspect where it's like, okay, it's a kid that goes back in time and he has an adventure and he goes back to the future and that's the whole story.
Yeah.
And you don't see all the little subplots and all the little things that tie into it and how things change when he comes back.
Yeah.
It's still entertaining You know, it's still entertaining in both ways.
Right.
So I don't bemoan anybody for enjoying entertainment how they want to enjoy it. However, I do bemoan people that take entertainment too close to the heart and start to try to emulate things that they see on the screen.
That's what I meant too. Yeah, I don't mind if you watch it just for the enjoyment of watching it, but I do agree that there's something wrong if you're hero worshiping a person who is not supposed to be hero worshipped. You could say the same thing about Tony Soprano. You know, like it's the exact same thing. Like this is an anti-hero. This is not a person that you should be emulating. This is a person who you should be evaluating and going, oh, do I do these things? Does someone I know do these things? How do I change that? You know, like you should be looking at it. If you're gonna look at it on that level, like that's what you should be viewing it. I think. I don't know. Or just enjoy it, you know. I don't
enjoy it. I mean, John Hamm and Christina Hendricks are some very pretty people. So if you just want to watch it to see pretty people, go for it. They're there for you.
I know. I just struggle with that because I'm like, why? Like what do you do with your life? But it's okay, you know. Whatever.
Fine.
Do what you
some
do.
People,
you do
some
you,
people
Bill.
turn on the TV just to have company, you know.
Yeah.
That's kind of sad.
True.
We're gonna move on.
Okay. Are we gonna talk about my childhood?
Oh God, no.
What's your number
that's kind of mine too. My number one, and the show that I put on so I wouldn't feel so lonely when my dad was out driving a taxi. Star Trek: The Next Generation is my number one.
That's the Picard, right?
That is the Picard one. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
okay,
it is.
Cool.
Yes, it is. There's so many.
I am shocked you did not have Mad Men on there, man. I could have sworn we were both going to have Mad Men. Anyway, go ahead.
I know.
Picard.
And I'm disappointed that I forgot about that. That's my How I Met Your Mother.
That's your hymn. Right, yeah, okay. That's
my hymn. So, Star Trek: The Next Generation, it woke something up inside of me, basically. I joke about watching it while my dad was out driving a taxi.
Tell us about your first sexual experiences.
With Denise Crosby.
It made something inside of me burn. His bald head. Oh.
Well, I mean, Marina Sirtis was quite fetching, but
yeah, fetching.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
That's how I circumvent saying she was a total smoke show.
Yeah.
But yeah, basically. Great cast. You know, just like I said with Lost, top to bottom, this was a fantastic cast.
Yeah.
And the way that I was really hooked into Star Trek: The Next Generation was through reading Rainbow.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense. That checks out.
I mean, think about it. You have your Bob Ross, you have your Mr. Rogers, you have LeVar Burton, and this man is the one that tells me all these baller ass books that I should be reading and stuff that I should know about. And it's like, cool, man, great. And so one episode he decided to take a tour of his new workplace, which was the set of Star Trek: The Next Generation. Now, of course, by this point, I had seen Star Trek. It's a crossover episode. So I'd seen the regular Star Trek by this point, and it was stuffy. And I'm like, I don't care about this. This
rough,
is corny.
Man. Those old...
Oh, man.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Especially by the 90s, it was like, okay, I can't, why are they gangsters in this episode? I don't understand. The cartoon, that was even worse, because they just, no. It was like between episodes of Lassie and Dennis the Menace on Nickelodeon.
Mm-hmm.
So, growing up, I wasn't that big a fan of Star Trek, just the vanilla version. But when Next Generation happened, it was like, these special effects are new, they're crisp.
Yeah.
We've got all these amazing, ships, and the set pieces are fantastic. And this is the future. This is the real future now. Yeah. And now that LeVar Burton is introducing me to all this, I want to know as much as I can about Star Trek. And that got my dad excited because he loved Star Trek growing up.
Aw,
and,
that's so cool.
We were able to bond by watching The Next Generation where, because at the time my parents were divorced. So I would be watching it on my own, and then he'd watch it on his own, and then the next time I saw him, I'd be like, did you see that episode where that giant blobby thing came? It was great, all that stuff.
That's so cool.
So,
I love that.
Yeah. So it was kind of cool, and just throughout my, preteen to teenage years, he and I would just kind of like bond over that. Like all the way through Next Generation, all the way into Deep Space Nine. we were just loving Star Trek, and I just could not get enough of that world. I had the Star Trek encyclopedia written by the producers of the show, and I would read that thing from cover to cover. Like, seriously.
Yeah.
That's how obsessed that I was.
Oh, no, I had, like the same thing with, like, Smallville. Like, I had, episode guidebooks and, like, novels based on Smallville and stuff like that. That kind of stuff. So I totally get that.
Yeah, yeah. And then, of course, the cherry on top of all that, the majority of the actors moving over to the Gargoyles cartoon to voice those characters.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Man, like, Jonathan Frakes, of course, is Xanatos. It was like the perfect casting. So, yeah, I really dug it. From top to bottom, cool. Star Trek The Next Generation. Of course, looking back at Deep Space Nine, sure, that was the better series. But at the time, it was like, this is brand new. This is fresh. This is interesting.
Yeah.
And, of course, getting the powerhouse like Patrick Stewart helming the whole thing.
You can never underestimate, like, when it's groundbreaking like that.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah. Deep Space Nine, it was an important show. It was just like, at that time of my life, it was just so dark. And it was like, where's the ship? It's Star Trek, but they don't have a ship. What's going on,
Yeah, yeah.
Sometimes
things are like they don't. You're like, this is boring. I don't care about this crap. And then you get older, and you're like, oh no, this is my favorite. Like this is the best.
I just wasn't ready for it. So
yeah,
I was ready for Next Generation, and it hit me at just the right time.
That's awesome.
We got Will Wheaton out of it. We got Patrick Stewart. We got Whoopi Goldberg coming back being a kick-ass Guinan. Like, I even remember one of the movies that spun off from the show. She was just like kicking major ass. She was the one always trying to warn them about Q. Like, yeah, no, she was the best.
Q. Yeah.
Beware of that Q. And then, of course, Majel Barrett. You can't overlook Majel Barrett. She was Gene Roddenberry's wife, and she was the voice for the computer from Star Trek, the original series, on until the time she passed away.
Yeah, okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah, yeah. So that was kind of cool that she was so involved. And she also played Deanna Troy's mom, Lwaxana Troy, on the show, on Next Generation as well. So I think she was even on Deep Space Nine a couple episodes, but I digress. Anyway, Star Trek The Next Generation, good stuff.
I have to admit, I'm not a big Star Trek person. I've tried. I can't really get into it.
Yeah.
I understand why people love it, though.
Yeah, I mean, that's fine. I totally get it.
The only time I've been into it is Janeway. Mm-hmm, so I would say I'm a Voyager person, but,
Yeah, that was groundbreaking, too. I mean, they just kept on just doing interesting stuff.
I love me Red, so, yeah. Red! Yeah.
Yeah, she's the best. All right.
Well, what's funny about this is I did not expect this to be an entire episode.
I know, but we had some strong
made notes
thoughts
for other stuff, and now I'm like, I don't care about this other crap. This is fun.
Well, let's go over one more of the notes that we got online, just because this goes back to something we were talking about on the last episode, which was our confusion about all the various secret wars that were going down. So we got a message from the one and only Kelsey Nicole. Kelsey Nicole, who you may know from such podcasts as The Shipping Manifest and the other one whose name I'm going to plug in later.
If you're waiting for me to save you, good luck, buddy. I got a goldfish brain. I'm Ernie, man. I can't do this.
Okay. How many minutes is this?
Save me, Bert. Save me.
Okay. All right, hold on.
Up to my hijinks again.
Hey, Bert.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. I mean, it's just Kermit with just like, a human voice. That's all.
Yeah.
Hey, Bert. What are we? We are an hour 47 in. Okay.
Yeah.
So, Kelsey Nicole, who you know from No Budget Dreams and the Shipping Manifest podcasts. I don't think we've ever discussed the Shipping Manifest. That's actually a really cool show that she does with a friend of hers where they talk about all the various relationships within the comic world. And on the most recent episode, they talked about the Avengers quite a bit. And the romantic tale of how Luke Cage and Jessica Jones got together. So give that a listen. For those of you who know how that happened, then you'll see me winking through the airwaves here. Anyway, yeah, so she actually did give us a little bit of a breakdown about what the Secret Wars was all about. And I'm pulling that note up now.
So John Craig said something about a breakdown of Secret Wars.
Yeah, he threatened to write in too, but he didn't come through in time for the episode. So.
Oh, cool. So why did I give you a shout out, John Craig?
Yeah, John Craig, what's up with that? Well, but seriously, John, if you want to write in and give us your take on it, definitely do that as well. So, Kelsey says, Secret Wars was Hickman's event that destroyed the multiverse in Marvel. What the goal was ultimately was to bring everything together rather than have a confusing continuity of multiple versions of the characters. It brought Ultimates to an end, Miles into the main continuity, and basically destroyed the Fantastic Four and the Illuminati. So I didn't realize all that. I know that it did fold everything in on itself. I know that Miles had taken different dips into the 616 continuity of Marvel, which was always an entertaining read. But I didn't know that it just like firmly put him in that world. I thought he was still just like a transplant over from Ultimate.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't I didn't know any of this stuff, so I'm like, okay, cool, that makes sense.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
And you know, the whole point of basically destroying the Fantastic Four was because Marvel was still salty that the Fantastic Four rights were held by Fox.
God, they are salty about a lot of shit.
Man, they are some salty bitches.
This does not seem necessary. Yeah.
No. Yeah. There's some salty bitches over at Marvel.
Yeah.
Even with the X-Men stuff, like for a long time, and which was fascinating to me, they didn't have any Wolverine action figures on the shelves. It's like, how do you not have Wolverine?
We don't like that Hugh Jackman.
I guess not, man, because they were kicking ass over there with Logan, and Marvel was like, oh no, that's not our movie, we don't care. So they even went as far as to exclude the X-Men from Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom, what was it, 4,
yeah,
I guess?
I remember
by some statement saying, who even remembers who Wolverine is anymore? Like, oh my God.
He's only the most famous X-Man.
Right. He is the X-Man.
The X-Man, yeah, for sure.
Anyway, so yeah, I guess we should probably
thank you for writing in and explaining that, because I was confused.
Yeah, thank you, Kelsey. You. Always a pleasure to hear
and thanks
from.
for threatening us with it, John. Whatever.
There are other Secret Wars to go over, so I'm sure he's going to find something to tell us about. Yeah. I guess we should probably dip into our comic choices of the week. She scoffs.
No. Guess what? My choice is the same one as last week, because I still haven't read it, because I've been dealing with school.
Yeah. I dig.
I've been writing like 3 papers or whatever. So, Guess what, guys? Shazam Volume 1. I'm going to finally crack it this week.
We'll allow it. It's fine.
Shazam Volume 1. Continued.
Continued. So, that's a good choice.
It's Jeff Johns, by the way. The Jeff Johns.
I sincerely enjoyed Grayson, which was a book actually recommended highly by Kelsey several times in the past, and I finally got around to reading it. It was really great. I enjoy the innuendos that are baked into it. I'll post some screenshots so you guys can laugh along with me too, because they get a little like naughty, like Archer naughty in there. It's pretty funny, like
kind of like Hawkeye did.
Yeah, but even more so.
Oh, like, cool.
There's a lot of obsession with like Nightwing's booty.
Oh,
which is kind of funny.
Hawkeye made me laugh a lot. I enjoyed that fraction. So that if it's like that, then I'm sure I'd dig it.
Yeah, I think you will. It does have that same dry sense of humor. So this week, I actually chose a book based on the recommendation of a coworker of mine. He is a comic fan as well, but he likes a lot of the more darker, like gritty type of stuff.
Okay.
And so, oftentimes on Mondays, because he usually reads over the weekend with his kids, he'll tell me about a book that he was enjoying and, just tell me, yeah, you gotta check it out, you gotta check it out. He likes Hellboy and Godzilla and like the IDW Ninja Turtle stuff, that sort of thing.
Yeah. IDW Ninja Turtles is good. I like that.
Is.
Or I liked it years ago when they first launched it and I was reading it.
Yeah, they take really good care of that property. So shout out to IDW for that and Ghostbusters as well. So he recommended this book to me, and it's one that I've seen the cover for several times, but I didn't know what it was about. It's called Ice Cream Man, and volume 1 is titled Rainbow Sprinkles. It's by W. Maxwell Prince and Martin Morazzo. So Ice Cream Man, according to the description and what he was telling me as well, is a Ice Cream Man is a genre-defying comic series featuring disparate one-shot tales of sorrow, wonder, redemption, and more. Each installment features its own cast of strange characters dealing with their own special Sunday of suffering. And on the periphery of them all, like the twinkly music of his colorful truck, is the Ice Cream Man, a weaver of stories, a purveyor of sweet treats, friend, foe, god, demon.
This sounds like he's molesting these children. I'm not comfortable with this.
Thankfully, that doesn't take place. He told me about some of the stories contained within, and while they are gory, there's no molestation happening. Thankfully.
Volume 2.
Volume 2. Ice Cream Man touches the kids. No, we don't want that. We don't want that. But the reason that he kept hemming and hawing over recommending it, because he's like, it's pretty dark even for me. And I'm like, does that mean you liked it? Or he goes, I got to come back to you. So he came back later in the day. He's like, yeah, I still don't know. Hold on a minute. And he's like, yeah, okay. Yeah, you should read it. You should check it out. So I'm going to take his advice and I'm going to read it. Okay. So if I need therapy after this, guys, it's because of Ice Cream Man.
Well, that's just sweet, sweet content. So.
Oh my God. Oh, puns.
Yeah.
Okay. So this kind of reminds me, like the premise reminds me of the Vertigo House of Mystery type stuff.
Oh, okay.
Where it had a framing sequence.
I don't know what that is. I don't know why I'm like, yeah. No. Yeah.
It's like Tales from the Crypt, basically.
Yeah, okay, I know what that one is.
Framing sequence.
I actually know what that one is.
Okay. Cool. So that's my pick. I'll let you guys know what I think of it next episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, anything else? We're not talking about any other shit.
I mean, we had a hefty episode full of TV talk.
That was fun.
It was.
A good one.
Yeah, it was good to kind of stray away from some of the heavier stuff, because let me tell you guys.
So that was a good. I did not expect it to be a whole episode, but there you go.
I know. We love us some TV.
Yeah. Yeah, so, my only thing is, guys, rate, review, and subscribe.
That's right.
You gotta give us that rating. Come on.
You gotta give us that sweet, sweet rating, and you gotta check us out on the social medias at Lex and Matt across the board.
Matt, what's your personal handles for your tweets and your Instas and whatever else you want people to follow you by? At Lex and Matt.
I don't know. No, it's at Mighty Ink Mats on Twitter and on Instagram. Check me out.
Yeah, we haven't plugged that in a while. I'm at the Lex Lutz on Insta. I'm not on the Twitter.
Yes, you are on the Twitter. You're on the Lex and Matt Twitter.
I'm on the Lex and Matt Twitter.
Let me tell y'all, Lex is such a flirt on the Twitter with the ladies of the other podcasts. I mean, it's just amazing.
What? I did not do anything.
Oh, man. Because sometimes I'll get notifications and it's like, who liked this? I didn't tweet that out. Oh, wait a minute.
Liking and tweet. That's not. Hey, do I need to put a faves are not, flirting thing? Damn.
I don't know who Babs Gray is, but she likes your style. That's all I'm saying.
Shit, Jesus.
I don't know. I'm just saying. All right.
I mean, first, I'm hitting on Evan Rachel Wood on there, but that's normal.
That's only good for everybody.
Stalking Drew Barrymore, that's normal.
No, you mean you're stalking Drew Barrymore? Anyway, I'm writing your coattails. That's all I'm doing on there.
Yeah.
If Evan Rachel Wood puts us on, I'm just totally riding your coattails.
Oh my gosh.
That's it. To glory.
Anyway. Yeah, she still hasn't accepted the ring I sent her, but one day. One day. Yeah.
All right, folks. Well,
sorry, everybody,
we thank you.
not to stalk you.
We thank you for accepting our invitation to listen to yet another episode of Lex and Matt's Excellent Adventure. Have a good week, everybody.
Be excellent to each other.
Right.